Hey guys, so with the first section of work, you guys did a really good time of getting it in on time and a good job of answering everything correctly, mostly everything correctly. This time around, again, great job with getting it in on time, but there was a little bit more difficulty with the content in general, which I totally understand because this is one of the more difficult topics to try and learn remotely. This is more of a skill as it is memorizing things or remembering definitions. Doing these type of complex genetics problems is a little more of a skill. So I'll go through each of these questions with you guys, and I'll try to do it pretty quickly because there are 6 of them. The first one was distinguish between complex inheritance patterns and the basic inheritance patterns from chapter 10. The basic inheritance patterns of chapter 10 were simply just saying that if you had the dominant trait, you express the dominant, if you had the dominant allele, you express the dominant trait. If you have both recessives, you're gonna express the recessive trait, and that's how it works. That's it. This overpowers this. So if you have one of these, you're gonna show that trait for that. But if you have 2 of these, you're gonna have that. And that's how basic dominance works, that's it. But the complex patterns, they're a little bit different. They don't go by those rules. With the complex patterns, you have things like incomplete dominance, which shows a mixing of traits. So red and white mix to make pink. So instead of being like this and this, so red being dominant to white, you would write it like that. So red and white, it's like they're both dominant. So that equals pink. They're mixing to make pink. So we wouldn't write it like that. And then with co-dominance, think of co like co-worker or cooperate. You're working together, you're both doing the work. So in this case, both of the traits are going to be shown. So if we do that same thing where R equals red and W equals white, this genotype, it's not going to make pink because you're showing both. You're going to be red and white. So that would be something like spots or stripes, something like that, where you're seeing the red and the white. Okay, so these are 2 different ways that you can inherit traits that are different than simply having red overpowering white. Okay, they're mixing with co-dominance, incomplete dominance, or you're seeing both with co-dominance. Okay, so this is why things are getting called complex inheritance, because they're getting a little bit more complex than simply one being dominant over the other. Number 2, what is epistasis and how does it differ from dominance? So I'll use the example from the book because this is a pretty good example to show how this works. If we're talking about Labradors, the dogs. Labradors. So their fur color. Their fur color is determined by having either a big B or a little b. This is the dark fur, and this is a lighter fur. So if you're this, or if you are this, that is going to give you black fur. If you are this, this is going to give you that chocolate color. So it's brown, but like you have a black lab or a chocolate lab. Well, where do the yellow labs come from? Well, there's this gene, the E. This is the epistasis gene. So if you have this, that's going to mask any of the coloration that you're having. So if you have this, little e, for any of these genotypes, that is going to make you a yellow lab. That is going to block out these colors and create that. So this epistasis gene, if you have the recessive one, that's going to cause you to be a yellow lab. It's going to block out that coloration, so you will not have the dark pigmentation in your fur. So the epistasis is simply an interaction between two alleles, two different types of alleles, that's going to cause you to mask entirely another trait. So it's kind of like that epistasis is like a dominance that's going to overpower any other trait. Question 3 is about blood types. And with blood types, we're dealing with a topic called multiple alleles, because it's not simply just saying that you have a dominant allele and a recessive allele. You have multiple, more than 2 alleles. So in this case, you can have multiple dominant alleles, and what you're going to do is use an exponent up here to represent which allele you're talking about. Yes, William?
Can I get a card, Dad?
Give me 3 minutes, okay?
Okay.
Thanks. Kids. So with blood types, we use the letter I to represent which allele we're talking about. There are 2 dominant alleles and 1 recessive allele. There is an A allele, a B allele, each are dominant, and then there is the little I. So for blood type A, you could be this, which we would call homozygous for it, or you could be this, which is heterozygous for blood type A. For blood type B, you could be this, or you could be this. Homozygous for B, heterozygous for B. You could be this, AB, which in this case is only one possible combination, or you could be this. Okay, so blood type O is the recessive, 2 of those. AB is one of each of these. B is 2 B's or a B and an I. A is 2 A's or an A and an I. So the question asked us, how is it possible? So if you have a blood type A father, so the father is blood type A, he's one of these, we don't know which one, and the mother is blood type B, we don't know which one. They had a kid who was O, AB, and B. So how is it possible that you, as a parent, have A, your spouse has B, and you have kids with each of these? Well, since we know that blood type O is the recessive, in order for them to have a kid with this, they must both be able to give that. So that means they must be this. So just to show how that works, we've got that and that. So AB, B, A, and O. All 4 blood types from just these parents. So you can have an A parent and a B parent, and any of the 4 blood types could be possible from those parent genotypes. Okay. Number 4 was asking about twins, and I don't need to do much of a write-up for this one, but if we have twins, 2 people, they have identical DNA. If their DNA is the same, what is going to account for them having phenotypic differences? Their environment. And the question's asking about how does the environment have an effect on it? Their lifestyle choices. So if one chooses to eat too much food, they're going to be bigger. If one chooses to stay inside for their whole life, they're going to be paler. So it's how you treat yourself. If you dye your hair, you're going to have a different color hair than your twin who didn't dye their hair. And then the environment can also cause genetic mutations. So like radiation, ultraviolet radiation, things like that can cause mutations in your DNA, which would cause you to actually have different DNA, which would then express a different phenotype. So that is how the environment would have an effect on 2 different twins who, as identical twins, have identical DNA. Number 5 is talking about sickle cell. So sickle cell disease is caused by codominance. You can have big N, which represents normal blood, and your blood cells would be just circular shaped. Big S is going to be sickle shaped blood. So your blood cells would be shaped like that. So if you are this, you are normal. If you are this, have sickle cell disease. If you are this, you have something called sickle cell trait, where half of your blood is sickled. So in normal blood, all of your blood cells would be circle-shaped. Sickle cell, all of your blood cells are sickle-shaped. If you are sickle cell trait, you have half of them being normal and half of them being sickle-shaped. So the interesting thing with malaria is a disease that affects your blood cells. Hello, William. Can you not do that right now? But we're almost done, okay? Gotta keep out of the camera. You're gonna scare everybody with your gigantic muscles, okay? So come over here, please. You can tell me if I'm doing a good job or not. So these blood cells cannot get malaria. These ones can. If you have this, you don't have enough blood cells for the malaria to actually take over your body and infect you. So this one right here would be very advantageous to have in an area where malaria is common, because you have relatively normal blood. You have half of your blood being normal and functioning, while the other half won't get malaria. So you could have a relatively normal life while not being susceptible to malaria. There are players in the NFL who actually have this. So you could play sports at an elite level and still have this. Most of us, most people, imagine all of us, have this. So we don't notice sickle cell problems, but this wouldn't be a good thing to have. If you're in an area that has malaria, that would actually be okay to have, because you wouldn't want to have the disease, but you wouldn't be susceptible to malaria. Okay, and the last question is in regards to colorblindness. So with sex-linked traits, we're talking about the sex chromosomes, X and Y. So you could either be XX, William, buddy, just hang on one sec, okay, please? You could be XX or you could be XY. This is a female, this is a male. Because it's a sex-linked trait, we're going to put the exponent at the top to represent if it's a dominant or recessive allele. As a male, you don't have anything there. We're just going to leave that blank. So the chance of producing a son with normal vision, the father is colorblind. So big B is normal. Little b is recessive. So if the father is colorblind, he, of course it's recessive, colorblind. If he is colorblind, he's going to have that. So he's XY, little b right there, nothing goes there. The mother, she is homozygous for normal. So homozygous means two of the same. The cross is going to be like this. So the question asks, what percent of the sons will have normal vision? Well, these are the sons. So we're not concerned with the daughters, who will also all have normal vision. And these are the sons. They will all have normal vision because they have the big B. Okay, so 100% of the sons will have normal vision, 100% chance. So sex-linked traits affect boys more than girls, because girls, if you get one recessive, you could have a dominant that could mask it, so you have them the normal trait. But if boys, you have one of the recessives, there's nothing here to mask it. So boys are significantly more affected by sex-linked traits due to the fact that they only have one X chromosome. All right, so let me know if you have questions on these things. I'll try to elaborate on some of the multiple allele ones and just these complex inheritance patterns a little bit more with you guys, just to try to help you understand how these work. But again, let me know if you guys have questions.